Welcome to the Shootin The Que Podcast, presented by Heath, Riles BBQ, with tips, tricks, and an inside look with some of the top pitmasters in the game. Now here's your host, Heath Riles.
All right, everybody, we're back on Shootin The Que. We're joined today, of course, by my lovely wife, Candace, and our special guest today is Matt Groark from Groark Boys BBQ. How are you doing today, Matt?
Doing good, Heath. Living the dream, man. Here at school, just finished up the school day. So, yeah, looking forward to this and then, head home tonight and figure out what I'm cooking.
Nothing wrong with that. So do you cook at home every night?
Yeah, typically I'm either cooking for content, which, you know how that goes. Or, I have two boys at home. They're 9 and 7. So, my wife as well. So we typically almost every night find ourselves all in the kitchen together, whether she usually is holding down the kitchen and I'm in the backyard cooking whatever proteins me and the boys are going to eat, because she handles all the veg stuff inside.
Well, nothing wrong with that. So for everybody that don't know you, I guess I kind of skipped around. Why don't you tell everybody kind of who you are and how you got started?
Yeah, my name's Matt Groark, owner of Groark Boys BBQ. I am now in my 21st year teaching. I'm a high school teacher. Have been for 20 years now. This is year 21, so it's crazy how fast it's all gone. I teach health and phys ed. Done that for 20 years, and this year is my first year actually switching from health and phys ed to now being a culinary teacher, which my district asked me about a month ago if I would be willing to come in and teach culinary. We had a resignation pretty late in the summer, so they were scrambling to either find a teacher or cut part of the program, which, they didn't want to do from a district level. So bringing me in, having the opportunity to do what I pretty much do every day, I think I might be most excited just to learn some new stuff. This is kind of outside my comfort zone. So, as far as the food stuff and actually teaching it in an educational setting and not in my backyard on TikTok or social media. So, but I think there's a way I could kind of combine the two. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd say back in 2018, I started my business, Groark Boys BBQ. I was catering and doing events and stuff like that. That really started in, I'd say 2015, 16. I kind of caught the bug in my backyard and, like so many of us, just kind of discovered how peaceful and calming it is to wake up at 5 a.m. and start a fire and babysit it. And, that's what really hooked me. I'd been for years, way back to like 2003, really comfortable behind the grill and stuff. But that was really born from tailgating in parking lots. Philadelphia Eagles football fan here, 3-0 by the way. So I'll throw that out there for any.
That was a good game last night.
Yeah, it was a good one. They scare me, man. They start off slow, but that defense is dominant, and we got a bunch of Georgia boys holding down the offensive and defensive line. So it's pretty sweet. But that's how it started. Really, was the tailgating. We were Eagles season ticket holders for a couple decades. Me, my dad, and my two brothers. And whenever we would go to home games in Philly, I kind of took charge of the food. I would prep. I would pack the cooler. I would set the menu for the day. And that's kind of how we rolled with it. My dad and my brother made sure we were always well hydrated throughout the day. And those are the roles we kind of took on. So aside from being in the restaurant business, waiting tables my whole life, and then, the tailgating thing. And then once smoke and barbecue got involved, that just hooked me, man. And I discovered this whole new kind of passion that, I didn't really know I had. And it all started with a little 36-inch propane master-built smoker that my father-in-law gave me because he bought it on Amazon and never took it out of the box. So, it's fast forward to now, and it's still, I kind of pinch myself sitting where I'm at and being able to do what I do. But I think it's a story that a lot of us share,
Yeah, it's definitely it's weird how you find your way into barbecue. It really is. For me, I was in high school and a senior. My best friend at the time, his uncle cooked in KCBS contests, and Uncle Don got a divorce. Well, we all thought, well, Uncle Don's the coolest dude we know. We're gonna hang out with Uncle Don, and us being seniors in high school, and single divorced man, you know how that is. He always had cold beer, and so we were always going to be around, and that kind of is what
Yep.
got us started. And after we borrowed a grill from him and cooked one event after we cooked with him a few times, and I've been cooking ever since. It's kind of really strange.
That's it. And I mean, I got into it quite a bit later. Um, I think a lot of people discovered this passion for it, during that big hit of social media presence during COVID, when everybody was shut down in their house. And I started a little bit earlier than that. I was like 2018 was, my first TikTok post was in December of 2018, which is a solid 2 years before most people even knew it existed. So you want to talk about catching, you know, catching the jump on people and being able to kind of take advantage of it early on before the platform gets really flooded. And that's what I had the opportunity to do. So, but I was I was into my late 30s. I'm 45 now. So this is definitely a part-time hustle that has turned into a full-time gig and lifelong passion. And it all happened a lot later on than most people find their passion.
Well, they always say that you really don't start progressing in life until you really reach your later 30s and maybe 40s. There's only a small percentage of people that really find that in their 20s. And I think it's got a lot to do with just maturity levels and really understanding, hey, if I don't get out here and do this hustle, my family's going to be the only one that is left out in the end. I think when you're 20s, you're
Yep.
really not worried about that so much.
So how did you get from the tailgating to the teaching on social media to ending up on Next Level Chef? Tell us about that road, how you got there.
Yeah. So I was, I started out posting on social media, and it was between 2018 and probably 2021. Over that 3 year period is when I really blew up on social media and got into the millions. And then once that happened, it kind of, you start dealing with brands reaching out and all that kind of stuff. I'd say early on, uh, you know, 2018, 19, 20, it was Instagram and social media and like creators, especially food creators. Um, a lot of it seemed like work for post for product. I think is where a lot of us started, and it was crazy because I remember when I first that first like DM I got from a knife company, saying, "Hey, we'll send you a free knife if you use it in one of your videos," and I was like, "What? Like, are you kidding me? I get a free knife? Like, this is awesome!" And I'm like freaking out, and that's all it took, to really like in my mind, my brain works just nonstop in terms of this stuff. And it was from that point on, I was like, even though it was just a knife, that knife symbolized like an opportunity to continue to grow. And eventually, as things started to progress and you realize that there's money to be made through this, in addition to putting your content out there that you love, um, I had always said, like, my wife, as much as she would tell me, like, put your phone down, Matt, put your phone down, Matt. I always told her, like, this is going to pay, like, this is, I'd put my phone up to her and I go, this is going to pay the bills one day, babe. And I would say that to her quite a bit. And she would laugh at me. And here we are 7 years later. And, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? When you put your mind to something and you're willing to dedicate that time and you believe in what you're doing. And I believe in, whether you want to be in the kitchen or cooking all the time. I told my students here this first week of school, um, you know, food is one of those universal languages, like it's like love is universal, right? I think food is the same. So whether you want to cook or want to be in the culinary industry, everyone has been impacted by food um, in one way or another. And that's kind of what I discovered through this whole social media growth and the relationships made, and the fact I'm sitting here on a podcast that, with someone that when I started this whole journey was one of the people that I was watching to learn from, in you, Heath. And like, it's all surreal. So, to take that and then turn it into more, that's what I think I kept doing. I just kept sticking with it and kept growing. And then the social media turned into brand opportunities. And then before I know it, I have to hire someone to handle all that part of it, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk contracts and money and all that stuff. It's awkward and uncomfortable for me. And then opportunities to be on a show. I've had the opportunity to be on shows before, but I've never really taken them very seriously because I teach September through June, and my family and kids at home. I never imagined that I could just go to my school district and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to XYZ for a month and film a show," and they'd be like, "Okay, we'll see you in a month when you get back." I just never thought of that. So when this opportunity came up, I was like, I told my wife about it, and she was like, it's Gordon Ramsay. She said, you have to give it a chance. You have to go do it. I'm sorry, I got to go get a charger from my phone. And she's like, you got to do it. So I went ahead and I went through the application process and I did all that. And I had some amazing support throughout it. I came to my school district. I went right to the superintendent and told them about the opportunity. They were super supportive about it. They said, go ahead and do it. They gave me the time paid off that I needed in order to do it. And I mean, the rest was history. Next thing I know, I was on a plane heading to Gordon Ramsay Studios to film, to film Next Level Chef. And here I am, a school teacher and backyard barbecue guy, heading out to compete against like professional chefs, which was just insane to me. So, yeah, it was all a whirlwind,
How was it working with Gordon Ramsay? Is it as bad as like what the internet would think it would be, or is he really a down to earth kind of guy?
He was super laid back. You know, super laid back. This is going to be nice and quiet in my car. I actually like this better. He was super laid back. And on top of that, like, I didn't really get a huge opportunity to work hand in hand with him because I wasn't on his team. So I didn't get the regular interaction with him, like day to day. But I saw him every day on set when he went through the judging and all that kind of stuff. And, had the chance a couple times during the elimination. My one best memory with him was during one of the elimination cooks. I believe it was the first one. My teammate, Kamalia, she was in the elimination and she ended up going home that day. But I remember there was a point where Gordon walked up like right behind me and he was asking like, how do you think she's going to make out? It was a steak challenge. So he came up to me and said, you're the steak guy. You're the meat guy. What do you think she needs to do? And I remember turning and looking up and realizing how big of a figure Gordon Ramsay is. And I feel like I'm a pretty big, sturdy guy. Like, I'm 6 foot, 225 pounds. Like, I was looking up at him. He's got to be like 6'2". And on top of that, just broad, man, big, broad-chested guy. But this show was a mentorship show, right? Next Level Chef is about bringing together and coaching home cooks, social media cooks, and professional cooks and pitting them against each other to prove that we can hang with professionals. And he really takes on that role as a mentor as opposed to someone who is yelling and screaming in your face and throwing plates like what he made his money on with Hell's Kitchen. There really wasn't any yelling and screaming outside of, just telling you your food was bad. He did do that. Like during the judging, if your food sucked, he told you. There was no mincing any words. When I got eliminated, he told me that my plate looked like it was my dish looked like it was plated by an 8-year-old.
But there was one point where I think it was a veal chop. He told you that it was delicious, correct? So how
That
did
was
that feel
episode.
having somebody like him tell you that
Yep.
something you created was delicious?
Yeah, and that was episode number 1, which was incredible, very surreal. I won the best dish for my team, made a veal chop, which I knew I could nail. That's why I grabbed it. And to have him say how delicious it was and that I know how to nail my meat was the phrase he used, and then called it very chefy. I was like, all right, I'm good. Send me home. I'm out. I got a compliment from Ramsay. I can walk away from this and be happy with the time I spent here. And sure enough, 7 episodes later, when I went home, man, it couldn't have been more grateful for that opportunity. And that last episode, it was like a crash and burn, but I leaned into it. It was like a snowball. Everything just kept getting worse. It was so bad,
So
but
you
it
said
was the
that
most fun.
you said you grabbed the veal chop because you were so comfortable with that. Was there
Yep.
anything during the other episodes that that you had to cook that you just felt super uncomfortable with, that you had never really dealt with before?
So when we did the Chinese challenge, we had to do a Chinese dish, and I was in the basement. I felt pretty good about making a Chinese inspired dish, about making a fried rice or a noodle dish or a broth of some sort. Like I felt confident with that, but I was in the basement, so grabbing a protein like, maybe a pork belly or something like that that's in my lane, um that didn't really happen. I ended up getting Cod Cheeks, which I know are delicious and can be great, but I've never ever made them. I don't have a ton of experience with fish, outside of like smoked salmon, which is incredible. The white, delicate, flaky fish, I can make it, but I usually do it in my kitchen and it's pretty simple. But to make Cod Cheeks, I had no clue. So I like steamed them, seasoned them and steamed them, and tried to make a fried rice with Cod Cheeks, and I was completely out of my comfort zone. So I mean, that was probably the most difficult of the entire, time there, was that Chinese dish. And I know I didn't do well with it.
So have you had cod cheeks again since you left there?
No, no, I haven't.
Well, that's
I probably should, Heath. You might be onto something. I could probably go back and edit one of those clips together and like redeem myself, because that was a pretty bad episode. But I'll tell you, there was always, when I did bad, or really when anyone does bad in these, it's always one ingredient that throws you off. And even though the Cod Cheeks threw me off, I did a few other things that just compounded the problem. Like, I thought it would be cool to tie in the fact that my wife's a vegetarian, and the fact I've cooked tofu before, and I'm pretty good with tofu and kind of building flavor into it because I cook it for my wife and she does a lot. So I grabbed tofu during that challenge too. So I mixed in some tofu with the Cod Cheeks, which Blaze and Gordon didn't really like. And I also got this XO sauce. I got XO sauce, which I'd never, no clue what it was, but apparently it's like a spicy, fermented fish sauce. like with fermented fish in it, and I had no idea what to do with it. I put too much in it. So yeah, that was a bad episode, but fortunately my dish wasn't the worst one. So that's the nice thing about these shows is you can get saved because someone messes up worse than you do.
Yeah, well, that's the same way in barbecue contests. Believe me.
You're right.
So, do you have another question?
I was just gonna say, so in for your elimination round, you did a dish with lobster. You feel comfortable with lobster before that? You just, I know you were saying a few minutes ago that he told you it looked like it had been plated by an 8-year-old. Is there anything that you would go back and do differently, or do you feel like it was just your plating that episode or that round?
So my the comment where he told me I plated it like an 8-year-old was was the dish that got me into the
I'm
elimination.
sorry. Okay.
So it was a whole codfish. Again with the cod. Like it was a whole cod. It was a monster. This thing was like 40 pounds. And my team, we had to fillet it and portion it for each other. And my team, for whatever reason, no one was stepping up to like fillet this fish. The upper level took a whole salmon. The bottom level had another fish that I actually wanted. I can't remember what it was, but we got stuck with the cod, and then I had to fillet it, and I butchered that thing like it was a brisket. Like at one point, Blaze told me to like take it easy and be gentle because I was like hacking at that thing, man, like it was beef. He was like, "It's not beef, Matt. It's not beef. You got to be gentle." But the codfish was tough. The skin was tough. So that's the dish he told me
Gotcha.
was plated terribly. In addition to just not being a good tasting dish, but the lobster, I was ecstatic when I found out that my elimination dish was going to be the lobster. Because I am confident with lobster. I have smoked it. I have grilled it. Um, I've done it indirect. I've done it direct over a flame. I've split the tail. I've done a whole tail. I've chopped it and just used lobster meat. So I had a bunch of opportunities to like do different things with it. I do wish I went a little bit more out of the box. I made like a tomato basil like lobster linguine. Um, it got great reviews. They said that neither of us deserved to go home based on the dish we cooked. Said that it might have been my best dish of the entire competition. So that was all great to hear. But the kid Preston, 19-year-old, who I was against, he made fresh pasta by hand. So I took mine. It was packaged pasta. Like, how do I compete with that? I think my lobster was cooked better. I think my flavors were all there, but how do you beat someone who's making handmade pasta in 30 minutes?
That's
And not
crazy.
only that, but making like a ravioli. I think he made like a some sort of stuffed ravioli with it. So the kid's a
Wow.
rock star. And I told Gordon and them at the end, I said, what, I'm fine going home. This kid's 19 years old. He's like got his whole life ahead of him. I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy. And at least this way, I'm gonna have a free seat at some Michelin star restaurant one day when Preston owns one because I'm sure he's going to if he's doing this at 19.
It's true.
It's amazing how some of these kids are learning at such a young age to be such a quality inspired. I'm gonna go ahead and call him a chef.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
I mean, it's amazing. I don't have that determination in me. I'm a backyard barbecue guy. Yeah, I took it to the comp circuit, and I understand flavors and tenderness and all that. But I just like having fun and throwing stuff together. I'll just go raid the pantry and I'll throw something together. And it may
Yeah,
not taste
I'm
any
with
good
you
to
on that.
somebody else, but it's good to me. And that's just the style of cooking I like doing.
I mean, this kid, talk about impressive, man. I mean, he won the world championships of food down in Texas in 2022 before or 21 before we went on the show.
So he's like a world champion cook. Uh, just man, kid's a stud. I wanted to send his ass home. I'm not gonna, you know, try to say like, you know, I mean, good for him, but in the moment, I wanted his ass going home and like going back to school or something so that I could stay. But when the decision was made, I was the first one in the elimination to take it to a tiebreaker too, which was pretty cool. 7 episodes in, and I had the judges split, and Naisha had to make the deciding vote, and she voted against me. So there's a little bit of pride there, knowing that I made it a split decision against a 19-year-old kid who's, pretty much a full-blown chef.
That's always a good pat on the back when you can do something like that.
Not
You
too
know that.
bad.
Did you have any more questions about Next Level Chef? Well, I have. I guess I kind of heard about the whole Embers TV thing when we were
Yep.
in Key West. And so, do you
Man,
want to
what a
tell us?
friggin' good time that was. Let me cut you off there. Good Lord, that looked like fun.
It was insane. Maybe we can get you down
Oh,
there next year.
I would love to, man. Hit me up. I would be there in a heartbeat.
You know, when you finally give teaching up, a lot of that kind of stuff starts happening regular.
I'm in. I love it.
You're- well, you probably don't have it. What, maybe 4 more years after this year? You gonna go 25?
Yup, I'm going to go 25. That's the plan. So, unless my wife wants to jump back in the pot and get back into teaching, she had taught for 11 years and then got into the administrative side of things for about 7 years. And she was a principal of an elementary school during COVID. And it just got to be way too much. She was getting taken away from home too much. She wasn't getting a chance to be with the boys and be the mom and everything that she wanted to be. So we had a couple moments where she came home like, babe, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I was like, haha, funny. You're the principal. You're making more money than me. I'm going to quit and do this full time. You keep us, rolling with the benefits and all that. But it just got to be too much. And she let me put my foot on the gas pedal and kind of do everything that I've been doing. And she's been home with the kids. And as um, there's no us without them. So uh, she's been able to be such a huge support, and at the end of the day, is the reason it all works.
Yeah, I know exactly, and I know how that is.
Yep,
Too, I wouldn't be where I am today without her over here for sure because she's helped me in
yep,
more ways than one. Well,
that's the
we're talking
truth.
about the Embers TV show. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and kind of how it got started and what the purpose of it is and how y'all are going to approach things?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say it's been the better part of a year that we've been working on this as a team, and if you've seen, we have some of the heaviest hitters on social media and in barbecue, in offset smoking, and open fire, um, in personalities that are hosts, and someone like Tone Ramirez, Tone TFTI, who's bringing creators into their backyards and doing kind of tours, is really cool. Something that you don't see, but we're building uh, a platform that is the first streaming app for everything barbecue, grilling, and open fire cooking. Brought right to your screen, right to your TV, right to your phone or tablet, just like Disney or Hulu or Netflix. You want barbecue, you want grilling, you want open fire, it's all right there. And with the team we have, Jeremy Yoder, just a powerhouse on YouTube, such a dedicated following. And the guy is, again, he's another one that the first time we finally met, I was like fangirling because I was watching his stuff, just like I said with you, way back when I first started this whole thing and was learning. Part of my education at YouTube University, is watching all you guys do what you've done your whole life, and to be able to be partnered with someone like him. I mentioned Tone TFTI and the following he has, and he's your classic backyard dad, husband, a lot like myself, but he's West Coast, I'm East Coast, right? And I think we bring those kind of attitudes to everything too. Um, Al Fragoni, which I know everybody knows, just the man when it comes to open fire, asado, Argentinian style cooking. Carlos Bradley, Smoke and Vine, um, Marco, Wood Fire and Whiskey, just guys that have all been doing this social media thing and have all been extremely successful with it. Both of them, a lot of pellet grilling. So to bring that group in, we have a little bit of everything. And then uh, Chud's Barbecue, another offset, traditional style Texas barbecue guy who's worked at Leroy and Lewis and all these huge barbecue restaurants across the country. And we just put together an incredibly talented group of people. And I think the biggest thing I've gotten from it so far in terms of feedback. Um, for one, it's been a great first couple weeks, and we're just getting started with releasing content. We'll be releasing new content every week, but I always try to look at why are people questioning it as to whether we're going to succeed or not. And I think a lot of people are thinking like, why would I subscribe to a platform like this when I could just watch YouTube or watch Instagram and get, I could type how to cook a pulled pork on YouTube and get 100 different ways to cook a pulled pork. And that's great. But on Embers TV, we're not just a tutorial app. We're not just a recipe app or a platform where you're just going to get recipes. Um, our guys, Embers TV was at the Windy City Smokeout, and we were cruising around doing our podcast there, interviewing some of the best pit masters across the country. Being able to go to Key West and do something like that, bring viewers right there and be able to talk to people like you and Mel, and everybody that's doing that, and just bring content for people who love barbecue and love what we do, and give them content that they can't get on YouTube. They can't get anywhere else. So a huge part of our platform that I want to push the most is the fact that it's not just recipes and how-tos. That's part of it, but I would say a much larger part is the entertainment and education of the day-to-day grind that all of us go through, whether it's through behind the scenes or on location, episodes or docu-series that we're going to create, to just put our platform and put our niche and what we all do in the world of food out there for everybody, whether you're a barbecue lover or not.
Well, I mean, I've been saying even before I knew about the whole Ember streaming service that y'all were going to do that eventually DirecTV and Dish Network, you can get apps now like Paramount Plus. They were so pushing that when Yellowstone was on TV, right?
Yep.
And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm not the smartest person, but you can just about figure 5 to 10 years from now, everything is going to be a la carte. And
Yep.
so for somebody like me that's into the smoking and grilling and hearing about Embers TV, it's an easy thing for me. Yeah, I want to. That's in my niche. I want to subscribe it. I want to look at it. Stuff like that. So we're. I know I hadn't subscribed yet. I need to because all that kind of interests me. I see all y'all on TikTok, and I don't hit the social media probably nowhere near as hard as I need to, but we're so engaged in the business end of it now. It's hard for us to go film every single day. We just can't do it.
Yep. Well, and that's the other thing, Heath, and man, let this be a formal invitation, because the one of the best parts of being involved with Embers TV and being one of the founders is the ability to spread the knowledge and the experience and the talents of anyone and everyone that we have relationships with, and why can't we do a Heath Riles series brought to you by Embers TV, you know, um, and tell your story and how you got into it and some of your special dishes, specialty comp dishes. We could do a comp cooking series We could do a comp masterclass with Heath Riles, brought to you by Embers TV, right? I mean,
That sounds really cool.
there's just endless opportunity. This isn't, just about us and putting us on TV. This is about putting our entire barbecue community out there for everyone, and being able to bring someone like you onto Embers and shoot a whole series with you to make people better and more knowledgeable about competition barbecue. Um, what's the difference between comp ribs and ribs that you're serving for a backyard barbecue, right? You could spend a whole episode covering that, and you'd have people locked in, right? Because we know what happens when you make a comment about that on social media, you know? So to educate people like that, I've talked to Tucker, the winner of Next Level Chef Season 2. Um, we could do a Next Level Barbecue with Tucker Riccio, winner of Next Level Chef, brought to you by Embers TV, where she takes our barbecue dishes and she's teaching us how to level up. She's teaching me how to plate, some beautiful barbecue. It's just endless opportunities to bring people in and expose them and grow their brand and grow this entire thing that we all have going on that we know we're blessed for. So why not share it, you know?
Well, man, that's awesome. Y'all are actually putting something like that together. And like I said before, we didn't know anything about it. We've actually we have a family farm, and so we're in the middle of building I guess you could call it a huge barn dominium that's going to have a film kitchen in it, and
Look at her
all
shaking
of
her head.
that. And so
She like
then
that
it's kind
name.
of turned into more and
Barndominium.
more and more. So once we get that built, maybe it's an opportunity to bring all the guys out and stay. And we're gonna have, I think it's gonna be about a, a 40 by 40 grilling area set up. And I'm even going to install some brick pits, old school, is my plan. And we've got, I don't know, I own about 40 grills myself. So I plan on really, displaying all that. And we're all we love bourbon and stuff like that. I have a bourbon collection, so we're gonna put in a full bar, and I plan on putting in a podcast area. So when I invite somebody up, we're gonna be able to really cook dishes, talk and enjoy it, shoot that video, and then immediately sit down and shoot a podcast about it, and really talk about the food you ate and everything like that. And then, being out in the outdoors we actually own 185 acres, so just to be able to carry people out and do more farm to table experiences and just in the woods cooking and live fire, like you said, we all see where this is going, and so that's our demise of where we're kind of pushing ourselves into that segment as well. But just be able to host those events and bring creators out and different ones on TikTok and YouTube and whatever. And we network and we're friends with so many different barbecue personalities. I just think hosting
Yep.
some kind of event would be really cool once a year. You know what I mean? Whether it's a big, whole hog bash and cook a hog and everybody comes out and we film content for maybe a couple days and run crews around. I think that would just be something totally different that a lot of people would love to be involved with.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Heath, that hasn't been done on a consistent basis. There's certainly meetups and get-togethers of different food and barbecue accounts and personalities and stuff like that. That happens, right? In places like Key West, in places like the Windy City Smokeout. But, think of, like, man, you see all these social media like content houses, right? Of just these kids doing wacky stuff and whatever. Like, how about a barbecue content house? Like, or a barbecue content event where we come out once a year to your location and Embers comes out and we vlog the whole thing.
Hmm.
We vlog it, we post it as episodes on the platform, and it's just, it really is an incredible opportunity. And I understand because of how saturated social media is and how saturated all these platforms are. It's very easy for people to see something that, like what we're doing with Embers, and instantly just think, how's it different than YouTube? How's it different than TikTok? I can get all the same stuff. No, you can't. Like that's what we're going to prove over the course of the next year as we continue building out, as we continue making these relationships and connections with other barbecue people and personalities and professionals, and involving everyone like it's never been done before. So that's what I'm most excited about. Um, so yeah, it's a blessing to be involved, and to be involved with the group that we are uh, involved with is crazy, and they couldn't be more excited too. So yeah, you've got the official invite, so we should we'll have to hop on a call and break it down. But at some point in this next year, I'm
Yeah.
seeing like a comp masterclass on Embers.
Yeah, man, we can definitely do something like that. That would be totally awesome. So you also don't you have some products that you work with, some barbecue rubs? Do y'all have y'all's own products now?
Yeah, so myself and Carlos, Smoke and Vine, we are owners, along with our buddy Travis, who's located out there in Cali with Carlos, owners of Rub City Barbecue. So we have about 9 different seasonings on tap right now. We have a few more that we're hoping to launch, probably winter, spring, heading into summer next year. Uh, so yeah, that's been going great. I think we've been got almost 2 years in business now. Um, so Rub City is something, along with a lot of other creators, seasonings, and rubs you'll see on Embers. So that's just been a cool experience, being able to go through that entire process of building your own flavors, which you know well, and kind of testing and getting those little packets sent to your house, trying them out, sending them back, rebuilding flavors and adding and taking things out. It's been a really cool process to be involved in. So we're just going to keep hammering with that. It's a big market, obviously, and dealing with heavy hitters, but I think there's plenty to go around, and I think that's a pretty uh, proven fact, with how many are doing really well
Well, we
in
tell
terms of the
everybody
rub
that
business.
there's enough space in the segment for everybody,
Yep.
especially
Yep.
somebody that's working their brand actively, cooking like y'all are out here on social media, talking about it, out here networking with other people, doing collaborations. That's what it's about, because when that season hits somebody's table at home, 9 out of 10 times they're not just going to be faithful to Heath Riles. They're going to reach
No.
over here and they're going
Yep.
to combo a Rub City and a Heath Riles, or
Yep.
a Meat Church, or a Cosmo, or a How to Barbecue Right. Malcolm Reed. It's just part of it. I mean, people do
Yep.
that all the time, and we're all fine with that every day, because we understand it. And
Yeah.
I think some of the people that don't understand it, that want to just crouch down and be in their own shell, they're the ones that's honestly getting left behind today.
Yep. You're
You
right.
know, and today,
I've gotten questions, and I'm sure you have too. You get, God forbid you use someone else's rub. When you own a rub company, you use someone else's seasoning or someone else's rub in a video, and it's like, whoa, why are you using that rub? You own your own company. Like, and it's like, yeah, and I love this rub. It's a great seasoning. Why wouldn't I use it? And why wouldn't I want to tell you about it? Like but that's what we do. That's the large majority of the barbecue community is supportive in that way. And, I think it's cool to be able to educate people in that sense, that we're all on the same team at the end of the day.
that's exactly
So
right.
Rub City has been great, along with Embers. And then I'm also a lot of the work that I've done from a barbecue catering business. My business in 2018 was started really on the back of charitable work and giving back to the community that I teach in, and doing a lot of work with veterans. So I've done Army Navy tailgates with a group called Team Foster out here in Philadelphia. They raise money for service dogs for vets that are in need. The average service dog for a veteran who needs it is upwards of $30,000 for one dog, for the training and all that. So it's a big ticket. So they do a great job of getting these vets are vets who need it, the support they need in the form of a service dog. So I've been working with them for years now. So into that, I've, support as many and all veteran businesses that I can. So I'm partnered, part owner of a company called Battle Tested BBQ. I've used it on my page. Local guy here that I've gotten to be friends with over the last several years, and veteran owned barbecue sauce business, and just kind of pushing that. And every bottle helps a veteran, and at the end of the day, that's what I hope to continue to do with this is, put that word out there and support our vets. And my dad and my older brother are both Army vets. So any chance I get to work with a company or support a company with that goal in mind, I'm like front of the line.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome, man, that you do that, because we're kind of in the same way. We have a lot of veteran friends that we support, and small business owners. It's always good to give back. I wish more people thought that way.
Yep.
For sure. So tell everybody where they can find you at, and reach out to you. They want to get in touch with you and follow more and buy some of that Rub City rub.
For sure, you can find me everywhere on every platform that's known to man now, from Snapchat to YouTube to Facebook to Instagram, at Groark Boys Barbecue. Rubcity.com. You can get my Groark Boys Barbecue rubs, as well as Rub City originals, battle tested barbecue sauce. Go check them out. You can find me streaming on the podcast, on episodes. My cooking with charcoal episodes are going to be dropping over the course of the next few weeks, and you can go get them, download at your favorite device, whether it's your phone or tablet or TV, at Embers TV, online on a computer, embers.tv. And you'll see all the heavy hitters out there. You'll get some entertainment, some knowledge, some education, and soon enough you'll get some Heath Riles.
That'll work. Well, Matt, I just want to tell you thank you for everything, for coming on the show and everything. It was really great talking to you and learning more about your experiences with social media and coming up through Next Level Chef. I think it's pretty awesome that you're even still a school teacher, especially at this day and time. I'm sure some of these kids can get a little out of control, but it seems like it's really cool that you're getting to actually teach food now, which is really to go from health and science, you said, to that is a major shift, but it seems like it's so cool to be able to do that now.
Yeah, I'm blessed for the opportunity. Look, health and phys ed was always my passion. It was my career for 2 decades, but these kids don't want to move anymore, Heath. They don't want to run. They don't want to be active. They just want to, sit and play video games and, stare at their phone, which is fine. I can't knock anybody for that. My whole career is on my phone. But at the same time, being in the kitchen and teaching culinary, these kids love to eat. So, and a lot of them want to know how to cook. They really do. So if I can bring some of these kids back into the kitchen and cooking, it'll be mission accomplished, So yeah, I couldn't be happier to do it.
Well, good deal. Well, thanks a lot for coming on today, Matt. And if you ever got any questions or need any help, be sure to give us a shout. We're always here to help and shoot the cue.
And I appreciate you, Heath. You've been an inspiration, man. And can't wait to meet you all in person.
Sounds good, Matt. Thank you, buddy.
You got it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Shootin The Que Podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels or through our website. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Leave us a review if you enjoyed the show. Until next time, keep shooting the cue.